chapter 5. As a quick review so that you get to know where we are and what we're doing. If you haven't been through the study or something, I'm going to catch you up real quick. The idea of the Old Testament is, if you study the Old Testament history, you're going to be concerned with Egypt at first. Egypt's power wanes. Assyria takes over next, goes about a couple of hundred years or so. And then after Assyria, Babylon is going to come onto the scene. That is about, major part of the Old Testament is wrapped up in that power triangle and pushing back and forth on who's winning what as we go along. Egypt first, Assyria, and then Babylon. Now, after the Assyrians were defeated by Babylon, you can see sort of the Fertile Crescent. Not a lot of folks came down through here, except there's 2 or 3 really good trade routes. But it is in the middle of nowhere. It is like where you see the gas station that says next gas is 20 miles away, you better fill up now, that kind of thing. It was that kind of deal, only you fill your camels up as you went past. We're going to be looking at this town down here, Tema, which is an oddball just out in the middle of nowhere in the Arabian Desert, Saudi Arabia today. It's still not inhabited, really, out there. But that's going to become important today for us as we study. But the idea is Babylon and their civilization followed the Fertile Crescent, and especially we're interested in Egypt and also the Middle East area that we would call today Israel or Palestine, because it was the trade route narrowed in there, and if you could control that narrow window or bridge of land, you could control everything coming out of Africa going to the rest of the world, literally, unless it was going by ship. And so the idea was, if you could control that, you have a toll booth, and you can charge going and coming, either one. And so the idea was, take over that piece of dirt at all costs. And so you're going to have Babylon beating up on Assyria, moves down toward Egypt, and just blows through, wages war with Egypt, and then all the way back. You will know the general because his name is Nebuchadnezzar. He's going to become famous in just a minute, so to speak. Comes back, and on the way back, just as Chuckles, may as well just do this, I got the army with me at the same time, he's going to lay havoc to Jerusalem, makes a siege around the city, and then finds out that his dad, Nebuchadnezzar, okay, that's it, I know, he looks like he's on Star Trek. I know, it looks like, I know, I always say it looks like you got the bar scene over in the corner from Star Trek. That's one of the only, outlines we have of Nebuchadnezzar, okay? And Nebuchadnezzar is the king, but he stayed home in Babylon. He gets gravely ill. They give a message back, comes to Nebuchadnezzar. He literally packs up the entire army and takes them back to Babylon. And there he finds out his dad is not only sick, he dies. And so now Nebuchadnezzar is not general anymore. He is the king of Babylon. Now, Nebuchadnezzar, right here, is the most famous of all the Babylonian rulers, period. That's his seal right there for real. This is a nice little artist rendering of his face. Pretty good, really, from all the death masks and all the stuff. He was very influential. He is the one who really built Babylon. He put a whole place together. He's the one that got the Babylonian Empire to its full extent. This is the guy. This is sort of the gold standard of rulers for Babylon. In fact, his name becomes so synonymous with success, he is really called Nebuchadnezzar, but he's so famous, they went back and called his dad Nebuchadnezzar the first. And so the real Nebuchadnezzar is really Nebuchadnezzar the second, as far as history is concerned. So Nebuchadnezzar II is really the Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, his dad, just got the name posthumously because his son was so famous. Okay, it's just the way it is. You go, well, that's a silly thing. Well, no, everyone in Six of His Brothers is trying to be either FDR or Reagan. It's like I want to be the next whatever. So it depends on which end of the political spectrum you go with. Everybody's trying to be somebody else. Well, everybody wants to be Nebuchadnezzar. Now, Nebuchadnezzar still remembered, I got a toll booth to win. I forgot that one. So he goes back himself with the army and wreaks havoc on Jerusalem. He scalps off literally the entire elite population as best that he can. The most brightest and the best, and especially the up-and-coming teenager types that have great promise. He scalps them all. In fact, he does it 3 times over. He does it and waits about a dozen years or so, 11, 12 years, comes back, does it again, and then he comes back a 3rd time and devastates the town a 3rd time over about another 10 or 12 years. He gets a new crop of teens every time and scalps off the best and the brightest and takes them back to Babylon, not as what we would think of as slaves. He comes back and educates them and puts them to work in the government. What's your gift, what you're really good at. And he built Babylon on the sort of the backs or the brains of Israel's best and brightest. Now, the first time that he comes and takes a bunch of folks back, it's 605 BC, and he takes them out. We know 4 of those guys for sure, one of which is Daniel. And Daniel's taken back, immediately thrown into the Chaldean university system. He's already a smart kid, but he has to learn the language. He has to learn that cuneiform, the wedge type of writing and stuff that was so prevalent in their society. He had to learn all that. Mathematics, sciences, astronomy. Realize Babylon is the place in all the world. If you want to be hot, 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 you're there. Okay, that is the smarts, economics, all that. Babylon was the place during that time. Those guys who left, all 3 deportations, this is how they remember their home. This is how they remember it. And Daniel is one of the only ones of all the prophets that gets to see this thing all the way through. He's a young teen when he's taken. He lives through all of Babylonian captivity, 70 years. That's why we're calling this a long haul faith. Because everyone can be really spiritual for a little short amount of time. To be spiritual over the long haul, that takes work. Because there's ups and downs of spiritual life, just like every other life. Daniel stays true and faithful to God his entire 70 years in Babylon, and actually gets to see the end of it at the end. So he's going great all the way around. Now, Daniel so far. We look at chapter 1 when Daniel and his 3 friends, you'll know them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay? That's their Babylonian names for the last 3. Got taken through the university system and all that. 2nd chapter, we talked about Nebuchadnezzar, the king's dream. No one else could interpret it. Poor Daniel grabs his friends and says, let's pray about it. The God of heaven will give this kind of answer. He does. Daniel gets ready to go in, tells the dream itself without even knowing what it was. He's given that revelation by God and the interpretation thereof, which now he's promoted up. And so he's going to be the head of the wise guys in Babylon, which will eventually become called a whole caste of people called the Magi. Sound familiar? That's 500 years before the little town of Bethlehem saw a star and men coming from the east to worship. That's Daniel had encoded in those people. Watch the stars, keep looking to our west. There's something going to happen over there, and it's Daniel's God. Now, you got Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Then in chapter 3, we looked at Nebuchadnezzar's image that he stuck up, and he had the guys in the fiery furnace. You remember Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and all that. Okay? Last week, we talked about also a 2nd dream that came to a Nebuchadnezzar, but it's not the same Nebuchadnezzar. Now, this is where we're going to go. And I love to learn this because we've learned a bunch from secular history. In fact, my dog is named Harry, but his really name is not Harry, it's Herodotus. But, you know, I don't say Herodotus around town, but then thinks, who are you? Okay? So in our house, he's Harry. Our daughter is our grand dog. Our daughter bought a dog and then moved to China and now is in South Korea. as a teacher, can't take a dog. She said dogs are hors d'oeuvres here. No, she doesn't say that. Okay? But we got the dog anyway, so Harry's been with us forever. But it's Herodotus. A lot of what we learn about secular history comes from that first Greek historian named Herodotus. That's why our dog is named that. That's Trilburn, Herodotus. That's it. I love it. I revamped my dad's kennel name. We used to raise beagles for fun and pleasure and a little bit of profit, not much. Okay? But we could handle 15 to 50 dogs at a time. That's fun as a kid. Getting beagles walking around all over there. That's really a fun thing all the way around. When you look back, Nebuchadnezzar is really Nebuchadnezzar 1. Nebuchadnezzar is Nebuchadnezzar 2. Now, when Nebuchadnezzar 2 passes away, he's going to have a quick succession of 3 people. This is really evil. Okay? It's a mouth here, but it's evil. That's the way you pronounce it and the way it's translated. It's evil Marduk. Who named your son evil Marduk? You just set him up for disaster, It says you start out in ISS and just go to OSS after that. For those folks who are not in public schools and stuff, that's bad. That's bad. But evil Marduk lasted 2 years as king. Then the son-in-law, one of the sons-in-laws of Nebuchadnezzar, this guy here lasts 3 years. Big deal. He lasted 3. Then he's replaced by his son down here. Nobody liked him. He didn't last 9 months. Okay? Let's just move him along, so to speak. He is replaced by this guy over here. Okay? Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar over here is going to be the son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar. He's really not related in. He's an usurper. He's coming in. He does sort of an inside coup. He gets the power, and then he marries one of Nebuchadnezzar's daughters, which puts him in like Flint. Okay, that's how he did it. He snuck in, then married a daughter, and then you can't get rid of it. Okay, it's kind of like the guy slips in and then, marries the boss's son, and you're stuck. It's like, oh man, here it is. Okay, so here it is. This guy here is in it to stay. He wants to be so legitimate. He's smart. He's not a dummy. He says, I'm going to name myself Nebuchadnezzar 3. So this is Nebu 3 right here. That is the guy that you're going to have starting in chapter 4 who says, I looked out this magnificent city of Babylon. It's not really Babylon he's talking about. This Nebuchadnezzar here, this guy is looking out over the city. This is what he actually looks like. This is the stele that it comes from. And he's a moon worshiper. That's why they stick it on this. This is a close-up so you can actually see his face. This is this guy right here, old Nebuchadnezzar 3, all the way around. You remember in chapter 4, Nebuchadnezzar, and Nebuchadnezzar here, had a dream and then he had a beacon lesson. Okay, remember he looked out and said, boy, look at the city that I have made. Well, the city that he made was not Babylon, it's Tema. What he did was say, this is a really good city, wonderful city. I really don't like this group because I don't trust anybody. Okay? The whole idea is, you got rid of people and stuff to get my title, all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much. I'm moving out and building myself a capital somewhere else, out in the middle of the desert where I can see you coming from a long way away. And that's really what he did. He built a capital out in the middle of nowhere. Brazil did it. They got so tired of having, everybody come to Rio and trying to find out how to legislate in the middle of a playground. And they said, this is ridiculous. So they went in the rainforest and created Brasilia. That's the real capital, but nothing's there except the capital. And they built around it, but it's a capital up in the middle of nowhere. Tema is a real capital around nowhere. But he's smart enough to say, I want some eyes and ears back here. So he says, I'm going to put my son in charge of back home, so to speak. Okay? On Nebuchadnezzar here has literally the little dream, and he says, I'm going to put him back here, and I'm going to put him in Babylon to rule there. Now, At the end of chapter 4, last time that we were talking, you remember, he goes nuts. You know, it's in a dream and stuff. He says, what's happening? He brings Daniel in, and he acts like I've never talked to Daniel before. Anytime you read the scripture, because it's just Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar says, you know, are you really Daniel? Da, 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 da. And he goes, you know, you're going, wait, dude, you know, you've already talked. It's a different Nebuchadnezzar. That's the hint. And this Nebuchadnezzar finds out, no, you've done badly, and for 7 years he goes out and literally chews grass out in the field, just grows big long claws and chews grass like a cow out there, and everybody sees him out there for 7 years long. Until, it says, and at the time that my reason returned to me, after 7 years out there, the glory of my kingdom and my honor and splendor and returned to me, and this is chapter 4, verse 36, and my counselors and nobles were returned to me. That's because his son, who is reigning at the time, said, no, my dad gets something back. So go back to him and all that. He says, now I, Nebuchadnezzar 3, I'll throw that in so you get him. Nebuchadnezzar 3, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, of whom all works are truth, and his ways are justice, and those who walk in pride he is able to put down. That's a big statement for a guy who supposedly owned it all. But he found out God was in control. It's a big word called sovereign. It means ruler over all. Sovereign, reigning over all. And so the idea is, now you're going to have a ruler down here in Tema, and then a ruler up here in Babylon, both Babylonians, both co-regents working with, sort of in tandem with each other. But the Nebuchadnezzar that we know from the scripture in chapter 4 is down here. This is going to be a new guy up here, the son of Nebuchadnezzar, okay, Nebuchadnezzar 3, and he is Belshazzar. That's where you read it this morning. Here's Belshazzar right here, looking real scared, and he ought to. Okay, Belshazzar right here. He is ruling up in Babylon while his dad is down here. What they don't know is this, is there is rough things afoot. It's almost 70 years into Daniel's 70 years of ministry in Babylon. Babylon's days are not just numbered, they're coming to a quick end. And lo and behold, while this thing is going on, the Medes and the Persians, Media, Persia down here, is coming up, and they have already attacked Tema down here and done away with Nebuchadnezzar 3. A lot of his court escapes and goes back up and is holed up in Babylon, but there's an army coming this way and an army coming this way simultaneously. The Medes and the Persians are coming to town, and they don't have good on their mind. Now you're going to have Belshazzar in Babylon itself. Now we're back to Babylon City. Okay? Beautiful city with the Euphrates River running right down the middle of it. Here is the Ishtar Gate right here, which is world famous. In fact, we know exactly what it looked like because we took it apart and brought it to Berlin and put it in a museum. This is the real deal. This is the Ishtar Gate. Right here, it's not a make-believe or this is the deal. They brought it piece by piece and reconstructed it. You can see the size of it. I put the people in here so you can see how big it is. Okay? Beautiful blue gate, and it ushered you in to the biggest and loveliest city in the entire world. Anybody who was anybody loved to come to Babylon. In fact, Babylon is one of the best because it's virtually uninhabited. So archaeologists have got to play all over the place. Saddam Hussein, who was Nebuchadnezzar IV, at least that's what he called himself. He called himself Nebuchadnezzar II because he didn't even know his own history. It's funny. It was just a riot, but he's really Nebuchadnezzar IV. Okay? He tried to started really reconstructing some of the main areas of this right in here with the Ishtar Gate and all that right now. In fact, a lot of our servicemen have their pictures taken in front of the Ishtar Gate. It's kind of rather than the fact. Okay? The idea is this was a lovely city, and he took the Euphrates River here and turned it into a plus. Then he put it all the way around this way and all the way around this way and served as a moat. So it had these huge thick walls, but a moat as well. I mean, it was really, just a city you could not attack from one side or the other from any direction. He had this thing covered. All right, you ready? Now, chapter 5. Belshazzar, now you know. Not Nebuchadnezzar 1, Nebuchadnezzar 2, or Nebuchadnezzar 3. It's the son of Nebuchadnezzar 3. It's Belshazzar. The king made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords. This is not no little affair. If you've had, probably 10 or 15 people over the house, you know how hard it is to cook for 10 or 15 people. Then you've got 1,000 lords and all their entourage that's going to come with them, and they're paparazzi or something. I guess they'd have, pieces of clay and then take pictures. No, it's it from far away. They'd have telephoto play. There we go. Thousands of lords, and they drank wine, that's going to be big, in the presence of the 1,000. In other words, big party. Party. Ready? Now, put it on the Ritz. For all the smokes who like young Frankenstein, or Frankenstein, as the case may be. Gene Wilder just passed away, so I thought I'd throw that in for him. Love that. There we go. He said, he tasted the wine. Belshazzar gave command, and that all the gold and silver vessels, which his father, notice he's saying his father, it's the Nebuchadnezzars. It's actually Nebi 2 that did it. But he's passing it back up, saying, I'm part of this lineage that my father or ancestor has taken from the temple, which has been in Jerusalem. That the Lord and his lords, his wives, and his concubines. That's important. It's his lords, his wives, because there's another one, a queen coming, that is not. It is a queen grandmother of all things. But she's not in the party. That's if she would be able to grab it real quick and go, no, don't do this, okay? The idea was his kings, lords, wives, concubines, that they might drink from them. This is getting to be bad. Putting on the Ritz, ready? They took the golden vessels that had been taken out of the temple of the house of God and had them that had been in Jerusalem, and the king and his lords and concubines drank for them. And watch this. And they drank wine and praised the little g gods of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Uh-oh. Now we're talking the first two commandments. Remember commandments? You will have no other God before me. You wrote those. You're not going to make any idol out of anything. Metal, wood, stone, whatever. You're not going to worship a little g God. You're going to worship the one true God. They do the dynamic duo. They break the two first commandments in one big shot, period. And God has a limit. You ready? Here it comes. And in the same hour, emphasis in Hebrew, same hour, they want you to know, you mess up, God is very serious about this stuff. In the same hour, there were fingers on a man's hand that appeared on the wall. There's the hand. And it starts writing on the plaster of the wall by the lampstand so you can see it at night even. Okay, I'm illuminating it for you, big guy. I picked wherever the lampstand was. I could have written it on your face, but I'm not. I'm going to write it over here on the wall where you can actually see it. He starts writing on the wall, and the king saw the handwriting that was written. That's going to be big. All I want you, now you start getting into where you've studied on your masters, okay? Here's where you go. Are you going to go with Aramaic? Okay, is he going to write in that? Or are we going to go with Rembrandt, he's writing in Hebrew? Okay, what's the handwriting on the wall? We don't know. However, what we do know is that it doesn't have the vowel punctuations and stuff. Even if it's on the Hebrew, right here, on the Hebrew, you're going to have for the modern reader, dots and dashes and little P's and all kinds of stuff that's interjected in. That's where you get your vowels. Everything else is consonants. That's why you get these odd spellings and that kind of stuff. That Hebrew, and then the Pig Latin Hebrew of the Middle East that everybody used was Aramaic. Part of this book in our oldest forms is in Aramaic. It is one of the only times that you'll see this. It was the business writing type of language that everyone in the Middle East kind of got. Okay? You didn't have to speak it to sort of get it. The idea was it was almost like a vanilla language that could slip in between other languages, and you can make do with that even if you didn't speak each other's language, you could do Aramaic and get some business done. That's what Aramaic was. And the idea is, it's a miracle. It's handwriting on the wall. Think in your own life where you've ever said that. Uh-oh, I bet this is a handwriting on the wall. It is such a famous thing, it creeps right back into our lives as well. When we say, uh-oh, we should have seen it coming. The handwriting's on the wall, here it comes, ready? And see, the king's countenance changed. I love it. And no, that's not a word, but it's my vocabulary. Kingy is a word. I'm sorry. Okay, here it is. I should have said not very king-like. There we go. Kingy sounds better to me. Okay? The king's countenance changed. His thoughts troubled, his choices, his hips were loosened, and his knees knocked together. I started to put Elvis doing all shook up doing this, but I didn't. I said, if you remember Elvis doing that's the king. It takes a lot to make a king knock-kneed and everything else. When you're in the most defended city in the world, most developed city in the world, you've beaten everybody on the planet, so to speak, and you start knock-kneeing that guy, you're doing something. There you go. He's not very kingy at this moment. Then Magi alert, here it comes. And the king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The Magi! Magi alert, here they come. And the king spoke and said, whoever the wise man is in Babylon, who's ever will read this writing and tell me its interpretation, because they can tell its letters, they couldn't tell because of the continents and how it was actually put in, they couldn't get it. We just can't read this thing. And it was because it was so familiar that they couldn't get it. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know. No, it was like, I just can't get it, but it's kind of like, you know, when you haven't seen high-end math for a while. and you look at it, that's calculus, I recognize it, but I can recognize Russian, but I still can't read that either. You know, I remember that, when I was in a covered wagon last time I saw this math. Okay? Whosoever reads this and gives the interpretation, all will be clothed with purple, have a gold chain around your neck, and be third ruler in the kingdom. A big offer all the way around. Get the smart guys in there, the Magi. Now, when the king's wise men came, they could not read the writing or make no interpretation. Then the king Belshazzar was very troubled, Hebrew. Very troubled. Here it comes. And his countenance was changed, and the lords were astonished. That's not a good word, astonished. Terrified. Because the king gets mad, people start getting killed. Okay? That's just the way it is. That's what kings do. That's what queens do. The same way. Okay? It's like, oh man, this is not good. Somebody needs to say something quick. Okay? Just say anything. Then the queen, because of the work, it's not his queen, and it's really not his dad's queen. It is clear back to Nebi 2. Okay? Actually, that's Herodias that came up with who this actually is. It is Night Tuckus. I love that. Wonderful name. It was his wife who's been sort of passed down. She's like the grandmother of the whole place. And she comes in because she's seen God work in Nebuchadnezzar II's life and Nebuchadnezzar III's life. And like, whoa, you need somebody who really knows God. Not somebody who says they know God, but someone who really knows God. Now the queen came in and says, "Oh king, live forever." Yeah, they're sad and mad and worried. Remember, people were going to get killed, so she has to come in and go, "Ooh, you're great, you're great." Okay? Do not let your thoughts trouble you, or let your countenance change. No, don't kill me. Here we go. There is a man of God. There is a man of God in your kingdom who has the spirit of the holy God. And in his days of your father, clear back to Nebi 2, okay, in light of understanding and wisdom, and the wisdom of the gods found in him. And Nebuchadnezzar, your father, and your father the king made him the chief of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. He's been made the chief of Nebi 2 and Nebi 3, if you'll remember. And so Daniel's been promoted up twice with two different Nebuchadnezzars. He's on his third Nebuchadnezzar, so to speak, and then his son. Insomuch that it has an excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpreting dreams, solving riddles. I love this. and explaining enigmas. In Hebrew, it means untie knots. You ever have a knot in your life that needs someone to untie it, and only God can do it? This is a problem that only God can deal with. Well, there's a knot, okay? And they found Daniel, and whom the king had named Belshazzar. Nebi 2 did that. Nebi 3 absorbed it, and now he's down to his third Nebuchadnezzar, so to speak, and his son. And now let Daniel be called and give the interpretation. All right, Belshazzar's turn to play. Daniel's already done this with 2 Nebuchadnezzars, and now he's on to Belshazzar. Then Daniel brought before the king and spoke and said to Daniel, "Are you the Daniel of the captives?" That's where you read the scripture. If you don't get to Nebuchadnezzar, you go, well, why is he doing that? I mean, what is all this? If you don't get this, it doesn't make a lick of sense. Because twice already it's looked like, you should know this. You've gone through this before. You know, do you just forget stuff? No, it's different Nebuchadnezzars every time. Now, are you the Daniel? He doesn't even know him at all. Who is one of the captives of Judah, whom my father brought from Judah? And he says, I've heard of you in the Spirit of God, that is the light of understanding and excellence and all that. And he says, wise men and astrologers which you brought before me should read this writing and make it the interpretation. They couldn't do it. And I have heard that you can give interpretation and explain enigmas. And now, would you read this writing and make known its interpretation? And you shall be clothed with purple and have a gold chain, be third in the kingdom. I love this. The preamble says, Daniel says, let the gifts be for yourself and your reward. I'm not in it for the money. Okay, he starts out with just that. Give it to somebody else. Yet I'll read the writing and make known the interpretation. O King, the Most High God, there's your important part. Okay? You bring a guy in who really knows God, he's going to tell you what God actually says about this, rather than just tickle your ears. That's where today's church has to pick up its ears. It's good to know the truth, not just what sounds good to everybody to pack a bunch of seeds. Okay? It says, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father a kingdom with majesty and glory and honor. And because of the majesty that he gave him, all the peoples and nations and languages have trembled before him. Now this is Nebi 3. Okay? Nebuchadnezzar. Now, whomever he wished was executed, and whomever he wished he kept alive, and whomever he wished he sat up, and whomever he wished he put down. That's what kings do. That's what queens do. America better take note. You have a republic because founding fathers based it on scripture, not on basic popularity stuff. If we don't watch ourselves, we can come up with a king or a queen. And they can do whatever they want. The law has nothing to do with them. They can. And if you're not in the elite, you get killed. Just call yourself a Christian. Think of it down 5, 10, 15 years from now. You literally may be at risk just saying you're a Christian. Think on it. Okay? Here it comes. He goes, ooh, got quiet. Must be pretty serious stuff. Welcome to an election year. Okay, here it comes. Verse 20. But when his heart was filled up and his spirit hardened in pride, he was deposed from his kingly throne. And here we go on the big indictment. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was like the beast, and he dwelt out with the wild donkeys and fed in grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven. That's Nebi 3. Okay, he's out there chewing around and stuff. Then he comes to himself. 7 years out there. He comes to himself till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men, and he appoints whoever he chooses. In other words, could have had a V8 out there in the field eating grass. He goes, I get it. Now, watch this. You ready? But you, his son Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this. You got to see this from your dad. You were the co-regent, had to run the whole place for 7 years while he's out vegging. Okay? Talk about vegging out. He did. Okay? The whole idea is you knew this. America, folks, knows this, or at least they claim to. And we're faced right with it, and all we can say is, you should have known. Everyone says, oh, this is apocalyptic stuff. Oh, this is Armageddon stuff. Where's that come from? But Scripture. Although you knew this, what have you done? You haven't humbled your heart. You fell in the same pit as your dad. How many of us have fallen in the same pit as your parents? The same pit of your grandparents? Think on it. How many of us look up and go, man, I told myself when I was a teen, I would never say that to my kid, ever. And it's coming off the tongue. Good. Come back, come back. The same way, are we in the same pit that people in front of us that we should know, but we didn't? Ready? And you've lifted yourself up against the Lord God of heaven and brought the vessels of the house before you, and you, your lords, your concubines, everybody drank from them, and you praised the little g gods. Ah! There we go. Silver, bronze, and wood, and stone. 2 commandments and 1 walk. Boom. And the God who holds your breath in His hand and owns all your ways, you have not glorified. You glorified little g gods, and you let the big God go. God takes Himself very seriously. We don't. You can hear us. We use God's name in vain left and right. Just watch our culture. Okay? We just do. We take holy stuff and use it just flippantly. God doesn't like that. And He says literally on the same night that this is happening, the same night, look up, O King. It's written right in front of you on the wall. So clear you can't even understand it. Here it comes. The fingers that are written on the wall, you don't know it because it's consonants stuck together, and God's given me the idea. It's many, many tinkle a parson. And the idea is, if you want it in Hebrew, there it is, and it reads like this, that direction, if that's the many, many, that's right, looks alike. Many, many tinkle a parson. Or it's going to go actually like this, backwards, and stuff, if you're going to read it in Aramaic, either one. And here's the interpretation. There are 3 pieces of money within Babylon. It's a mina, a tinkle, and then also a faraz is common, but it's Paris here. But the idea is, meaning, it says it literally was part of a shekel. And the idea is that God numbered your kingdom. The idea is numbering it. Number, number, number. And it's put in twice because you number, total it up. I remember back trying to do ancient days when you had to do accounting. And you came down with 2, you had to do all your income and outgoes and everything else, and you had to come down and your 2 columns had to match. And once they matched, your accounts were in just absolute balanced out, and you got to put 2 lines underneath it, and then, I got it, to the penny. It's balanced out. There it is. That's that. It means you've added it up, and put double lines at the bottom. You're counted up, you're totaled out. Period. Tinkle. It means weighed. It's another branch of money, but the idea is that weighed, like you put in a balance. And you've been put in the balance, and you're on the short end, buddy. You're up here. You're totaled out. Your days are done. It's not numbered, done. You've been put in this thing, and you've been found on the slide in up here. You're waiting, wanting on this thing. And the Phares means divided up. Another part of money that actually is a mathematical term means divided. That means your kingdom has been divided between the Medes and the Persians. Okay, the Medo-Persian Empire. The thing of it is, what we know from archaeology now, and especially high altitude stuff, we've done a lot of thermal stuff lately. Really good stuff. They're able to tell you exactly what Babylon looked like. Even though it doesn't look like it's mud and grunts now, it's gross. But they're able to reconstruct this whole thing. Euphrates River coming down here. It looks impenetrable. Start looking through it. Here's the Ishtar Gate up here. But the idea is, look at the moat system that is around with huge walls. Actually, there's outer walls out here and up here too. But it just is a city beyond all cities. Well, the Medo-Persians, especially Cyrus the Persian, came to town. He looked at this and looked at the whole area. We were looking down here. That is impenetrable. But there's a weakness that they should have seen. The Euphrates River here, with the moat system that went out, and it had a huge outer wall that went around here. Looked great, only he called in his Corps of Engineers. On the very night they're having this banquet, he goes up and dams it right here. He pulled this up at his summer palace. They had to stick this little jaunt up here because the king wanted a summer palace, you know. And so they had to stick this thing up, and they brought the moat system around. So he just dammed it up here, and then let the Euphrates River run down and just diverted it around the city. Just cut it right off. So Euphrates River went down, army came in this way, army came in this way, and went right under the wall. Not over it, under it. Oh, I love CBs and Army Corps of Engineers. I love it. Okay, here it goes. And Belshazzar gave the command. I love this. Lovely party God. Yes, God target. Tell them what they want. A lovely home game. Go home and play Babylon at night. Here we go. And clothed Daniel with purple and put a gold chain around his neck. They gave him promotion. He said he's going to rule a third of the kids. Big deal. You'll be dead in a few minutes. you're the proud winner of nothing. Okay, here it comes. You ready? And that very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain. Very night. God takes himself real serious. We don't. We think, oh, poor weak. It's okay. He takes himself very seriously. And he says, you worship little g gods. Little g gods in our lives. Think for a minute. Where's money in your life? Where's science in your life? Because money and science, given true wisdom, will come around and agree with Scripture. It really will. We've seen it time and time again. Okay? You've placed yourself above where you're supposed to, and you worship little g gods. Maybe that relationship, maybe that new thing. What are you putting in that's a little g god within our lives? That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain. And Darius the Mede, this is really Cyrus the Persian, we're going to learn about that next week, is coming in and received the kingdom being only 62 years old. The idea is that very night, finding so much, I'm so powerful and wonderful, and lo and behold, let's all get drunk and be happy about it all. It was over in a night. Boom. I want you to realize that the Jews during this time, Daniel and his troop, are not innocent. They're powerless slaves just watching from afar. They have no dog in the hunt on this. They're just kind of watching things happen. You have a pagan king versus another pagan king getting God's will done so his children get to go home. God can work through pagans to get God's work done. That's how big God is. A lot of times as Christians today, we can look and say, God, you have to do this. Yeah, we're going to be good citizens. We're going to vote. We're going to vote with conscience, whatever. But at the same time, God, our country needs your help. And we need to pray because it's a God-sized thing, this one, to bring this country back in line in the way not only it was founded, but the country that the world needs. A country that really knows the real God, not a made-up God of one kind or another. And the problem is, we have this story. We knew all along. Although you knew all this, what did you do? you fell in the same hole that your dad and his dad did. Ah, will we do the same? I pray not. Let's stand with you.